let's kick off with Resident Evil Requiem. John, this looks pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, so this has been long rumored, obviously, and people were expecting it to show up, which is why I loved the Capcom trolling that occurred, where they sort of came in and said, "Yeah, we're celebrating the Resident Evil 30th anniversary here. This is great. For those interested in the next Resident Evil, we'll have more to say on it soon." And then he jumps off, and so everybody's like, either wait, what? Or, oh, is it going to be at the Xbox show? Like it genuinely worked. It created that confusion. And then at the end of the show, they dropped the trailer, which was great.
Oh, cool.
So it was a fun sort of thing. It sort of teases back to when RE7 was revealed, if you recall, where it was sort of like, I was at the E3 there when it was revealed. It was like Kitchen was that PSVR demo they showed off.
Right.
And then they're like bringing back Project Kitchen or whatever. And then at the end, like the letters turn into Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. And it was like, oh, it was a big surprise, right? And I feel like they tried to do something similar here with this reveal. And including with the references. So it seems like Grace Ashcroft, the daughter of, I think it was Alyssa, basically a character that was in like one of the Resident Evil or Biohazard Outbreak games, the online PS2 games being mentioned here. So they're kind of doing a deep cut here at the beginning. I was actually expecting, based on rumors and other things, that Leon would be the main character, and that actually may still be the case. But this is sort of like the initial setup for the game. But we're not necessarily here to talk about the story. We're here to talk about the tech, because this is the first Resident Evil game that has been developed for current generation consoles from the beginning, I guess you could say. There may have been a PS4 version at some point, who knows? But as it is, it seems like this is probably going to be a current gen only game. So it kind of gives us a peek at what they can do with RE Engine going forward, running a proper RE game. And right away, they're bringing the character model heat, as they always do. I feel like this is Capcom's artists and tech team at work, along with the engine. Just they're some of the best in the biz when it comes to producing character models. I feel like they just look freaking great always. The hair rendering as well is excellent here. Everything about it is just awesome. Plus they're showing, smooth animation, good acting, good lighting, shading. Like everything looks really like well rooted in the environment in a way. Like when they show her desk with all the monitors and the books and everything just looks properly in place. So I'm really liking what we're seeing there. Of course, it's still targeting 60 FPS. Hopefully that's not a bad thing, and that they can actually hit the target, because we know that wasn't always true if you look at like Monster Hunter Wilds and Dragon's Dogma 2.
Right.
But I think this is a smaller scope game, so I'm not sure that'll be an issue. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, it's really just a very early look at some of the scenery and stuff that you can expect in the game, and it does look pretty cool. The setting looks really nice. And I'm thinking we're definitely seeing some nice improvements over what they had done in the past with RE Engine in various Resident Evil games. The lighting especially just looks superb, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you make of this, Alex?
Well, I was looking through the trailer originally. I wasn't sure if this was actually Resident Evil because of the intro of it, but then it kind of became clear when got a little bit later on. And like you, I really thought the hair rendering was done really well on the main character, the woman, the Ashcroft lady,
Grace,
that you were just talking about, Grace. Especially when her hair inverts when she's being held in some sort of horrific torture device at some point in the trailer. Usually, like when hair is constrained to a certain degree, you don't want it to be, just to make sure it doesn't flop in weird ways, you constrain it to like a certain like angle away from the head that it can never go. And here it actually can fully invert, and that's pretty rare to see in anything. So that was really cool to see. One thing I was on the lookout for was better ray tracing than they've had before, because I don't know, the RE Engine games, they do some things really well, and I'm always really happy that they're pushing in this direction, but their ray tracing has been just like really low quality for a while, as well as their SSR. But the only really good evidence I could see of it in the trailer was they could have faked it, but like the reflection on her glasses in the beginning, where you can see the
Oh,
reflection
yeah,
of the
the
monitor right
reflections.
in them. That was pretty cool. That could be done in other ways, obviously, but as well as later on when they show that hallway with the curtain kind of having the wind make it draft in. A little bit hard to tell because of the camera angle there, but it didn't break up horribly like we would see with like the previous SSR, and it didn't have like a kind of not so great look as their previous RT implementation have had. They did say they were iterating on those things when they showed off their next version of their RE engine in those presentations they had published on their channel not too long ago. So I'm hoping that's what we're going to be seeing here, but I don't know. There isn't much other information here. Do you think this will be a first-person title, John? Or a third-person?
I'm not. If Leon's the main character, I think it's going to be third person.
Right.
Because I feel like they wouldn't do a Leon knowing how popular he is in first person. It would anger people. Plus, in Japan, the first person stuff wasn't as well received.
Oh, really? Okay.
But it's hard to say what they're going to do yet. You really can't tell from this trailer.
Yeah.
What I do like though is like the towards the end of the trailer, we get that sort of bombed out look at Raccoon City, including the peek at the police station from Resident Evil 2.
Right.
But it's like completely just ruined. And so, but before that, they kind of showed like a zoomed out view of the whole city with like a crater and everything in the north, everything. So I'm wondering if it's going to be kind of like not open world per se, but like a larger open environment than before, you know, like the whole city to explore. I don't know. I'm curious to see.
For sure.
I really love the hair rendering. I mean, we saw some of that in Pragmata as well, which we'll talk about a bit later. It does seem to me, though, that they do seem to be reducing gravity slightly to make the hair bump sort of
maybe,
cascade.
yeah.
They could. Yes.
Lots of hairspray.
It just looks slightly odd to me, but the rendering does look fantastic. What can I say? You know, Capcom are just knocking it out of the park, left, right, and center. I mean, of all of the third-party developers this generation, obviously we've got issues with some of the stuff that's happened, particularly on PC, but they're just sort of consistently delivering great game after great game. I think, you know, they're on a run here, and I think also in terms of, from what we understand, in terms of the size of the development teams and such like, you know, they're also a really efficient outfit as well. So, you know, the fact that they're able to consistently deliver this output and the quality, and we're seeing the the RE engine actually potentially just being sort of current gen only at this point. Great things to come, I think.